that right there. Boom, boom, boom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happy Hour Podcast pregame episode. Of course, I'm Ray. Matt's going to be here shortly, and I am being joined by Eileen Shapiro. She is a Rockstar journalist. She does a little bit of everything, and she also has hooked us up with so many of our various guests. And it's actually kind of funny. Like right before we went live, she was talking about. She's like, "Oh, I like your shirt." And it's funny because anybody who's watching this who's familiar with Schitt's Creek. Last year for Halloween, I was David from Schitt's Creek, and actually our whole family did the whole cast. Our aunt and our uncle did Moira and the dad. Her cousin did the sister, and her cousin's husband did the boyfriend, and then of course I was David and she was Stevie. So it's actually kind of fun to do like a whole entire family costume for that. And Elaine, she's hooked us up with a lot of our guests. Sherry Nelson, she was so great, probably one of the sweetest people we've ever had on the show. She sent us, we tell people this all the time, she sent us, this is our featured shot. And we told her that we wanted to try, that we never tried Metallica's Blackened Whiskey. So what she did is she went ahead and she sent it out to us. And I was like, oh shit, that's the coolest shit in the world that she would actually sit there and send that out to us. Like, it came in, I was like, I can't wait to try it. And it's good. So if you've never had it, I noticed you have Fireball right there. And, I've had a lot of long, bad nights with Fireball. There's been a lot of good bad nights that I began with Fireball that, but no, if you're a whiskey drinker, definitely try the Blackened Metallica whiskey if you've never tried it before. So do you normally drink whiskey, or is like whiskey a go-to for you, or
Fireball always?
Yeah, I'm a Jaeger guy. So it was funny, like I tell people all the time, like I do Jaeger, and actually at our wedding, my wife, she did Jaeger, and our venue, we didn't do, unfortunately, we couldn't do alcohol at our wedding, which sucked, but they were very anal the way it would be, and it would have costed us so much more money, the way that they would have had to structure it, to do the alcohol. So we told everybody, we're like, hey, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do it. However, you can bring whatever the fuck you want. But so me and the rest of the guys, we're sitting there being discreet, like putting all of our stuff like vodka and like Sunkist or whatever and all that. We're drinking it like that, like thinking that we're cool, and we're doing it on the down low, and the venue will never know. Meanwhile, my wife has a handle of Jaeger, and the girls are just chugging that shit upstairs in the main house while we're getting ready. And I'm just kind of like, well, shit, if I would have known that, I would have just walked around with beer all goddamn day. But yeah, it definitely with me, like Jaeger, it has to be cool. If someone hands me warm Jaeger, I'm probably going to peel their face off with my bare hands, because it's the worst stuff ever. And with Sherry Nelson, what all have you experienced with Sherry yourself?
As far as drinking, or as far as Sherry?
Either or. I mean, she's great. She came on our show,
Sherry's
and
amazing.
Away. She had all kinds of like drinking facts and all that shit.
I know. I actually, before she went on your show, she told me those facts, and some of them were so funny.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Rules and laws.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, she put so much into the show. Like, it was dedication. Like, she had a shirt made up, and it's like, well, holy shit. Like, it's great. Like, I love it. I'm like, normally, like, we'll send you out a shirt, once you're done. I like to try to send out a shirt to every guest. We're a little backed up with that, but it's like, she had her own shirt done. I'm just like, shit, that's awesome. Like, in order for her to do that. So, but I hear a little bit of rummaging around. So my co-host may be popping in right now. So, but yeah, I heard the dogs barking upstairs. So I know my wife's up there doing something, but odds are he's probably here. And no, I mean, it's great for those of you joining us right now live on YouTube. Thank you for joining in. Of course, we will be starting our regular audio version of our program at 8:00. And actually, there he is right there. What's up, man? How are you? How you doing? Of course, walking in
good,
like a strive ass.
I'm great. I'm doing
Of course,
great.
Elaine, she's already here with us. So
Okay.
We're already on YouTube live.
Hey.
Elaine, this is Matt. Matt, this is Elaine. Of course, everybody watching at home or listening. Well, you're not going to be listening because this isn't going to make the audio version. Of course, Matt's here. Matt, I got a couple of things that I actually have Bud Light. So Bud Light's in there, and I got that too. So
Well,
when you finish that,
I'm gonna drink it. Don't worry.
And it's actually kind of funny. Like we were sitting there, we had kind of like Matt accidentally butt dialed all of us. We all have like all of our friends on November 19th. Make sure you guys join all of us live November 19th. We're doing our first ever Friendsgiving episode. It's going to be me, Matt, and a couple of our really close friends sharing all kinds of crazy ass stories. But we have a Facebook group chat. And pretty much in the Facebook group chat, we're always sitting there sending horrible things to each other all day long. And Matt accidentally butt video called all of us. So we were sitting there and what was it? Like, oh man, Billy was talking about like, what was it? The weed cookies he had. He had like weed cookies. And he's like, man, he said he had
60 or 30 of them in his fridge.
Yeah. And he's like, man, I can't. And I'm like, you're going to eat all those cookies, aren't you? He's like, man, I can't even eat one of those. He's like, you eat one of those, you're going to basically be in cardiac arrest.
Oh yeah.
And then what was it? He showed us this half-ass video of what he thought was a UFO outside of his house. And it literally looked like he recorded the video through his window and the flashlight was on his phone. And we're like, dude, did you eat some of those cookies before you saw this UFO?
Like, I swear that's the light from your phone. It's not a UFO.
And it's funny because he said his wife automatically like dismissed it when he was talking about it. And it's just kind of like, well, I suppose so. She probably thought you were higher than a kite eating a bunch of weed cookies. And I was like, hey, I see a UFO. It's like, yeah, I would imagine you see all kinds of stuff, going on with that. And actually, what we're going to do real quick is right here on our pre-show. Of course, Socrates isn't here, so we can't do Socrates' poetry that he always does when he's here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into.
So he couldn't make it? Is that what happened?
No, it's just not here tonight. We're going to get into our Urban Dictionary term of the night. So our Urban Dictionary term of the night is AFC, and AFC is abbreviation for average frustrated chump. And an average frustrated chump is a guy who lacks skills and confidence when it comes to women. He often will end up in the friend zone because he obeys girls like a slave. A prime example of that, an AFC in a bar with a gorgeous woman would sit in the corner and ask himself, why aren't they coming up to me? When he should be going up to them, but won't because he lacks confidence. So there you go. That's your Urban Dictionary term of the day. Not really as vulgar as it normally is. And of course, keep in mind, we are live right here on our pre-show. This is our pre-game episode. And Eileen Shapiro, shout out to Eileen Shapiro. She's joining us a little bit early. She was scheduled for 8 o'clock. And, she came in at 7:30, just wanted to hang out. And I don't blame you. Elaine, of course, we were supposed to have the interview last night. And, we'll probably touch on this on the audio version a little bit too. But did you interview Joan Jett or did you get invited out to Joan Jett's show? How did that work?
Okay, so Soho Johnny, I don't know if you had him yet, but you will if you didn't.
Yeah, we had him on Tuesday. We had.
So Soho Johnny invited myself and Howard Bloom and a bunch of his friends to see Joan Jett. Now, Howard Bloom was like the biggest rock publicist on the planet.
Oh yeah, and he covered Prince and Michael Jackson and all that shit.
Yeah, and he repped her. So
he did rep Joan Jett because I remember when we interviewed him, we brought up Joan Jett being a Maryland girl. She's actually from Maryland. So I remember talking about that when we had him on.
Okay, so Johnny invited us all out, and we went, and it was the Ridgefield Playhouse Gala.
Okay.
Their 20th anniversary or something like that. And so we all went. I went from Long Island 3.5 hours. Howard went from Brooklyn 2.5 hours and so forth because it was Connecticut. All right. So where are you guys from?
We're from Baltimore.
All right. That's close enough.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
It's funny. I was just down that way a little bit. Me and my wife went to Salem, Massachusetts for Halloween, and we crossed right.
Oh, how cool!
And all that on the way up. And Connecticut was cool because I had never been to Connecticut for anything. And I was like, oh man, because it's funny because all the signs in Connecticut look like stamps. If you've ever seen like a postal stamp, you look at the sign and the road sign has the ridges on the sign, kind of like a postal stamp. And I looked at my wife, I'm like, those road signs look like highway signs, look like postal stamps because of the ridges on the side.
There's no real reason to ever go to Connecticut, except if you're going to Ridgefield Playhouse. Okay, so we were there, and it was really cool because Howard had emailed the manager, Kenny, and Joan the day before, and he never got an answer. So we didn't know what was going to go on. But they actually shouted out to him, and Joan Jett winked at him, and it was like one of the best shows I've ever seen, because I've never seen her in person. So I'm glad I went. And then because of COVID, they don't really let anyone in, but they let Howard in because they know him. Howard went down and he brought us back up some T-shirts, some sweatshirts from them. So it was kind of cool. It was definitely worth the trip, the 3.5-hour trip there and back. But you know what? I never saw her, so it was cool. It was good. It was good. I'm glad I went.
It's actually kind of funny. Like the first time I met Matt, like the Halloween that I met Matt, my wife actually dressed up as Joan Jett. She was Joan Jett for Halloween. So that was cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So talking to Howard.
Halloween is like my favorite holiday, and you guys keep talking about it. It's like the best thing, the best holiday ever.
Yeah, it's my Christmas. We did Salem, Massachusetts. We actually decided that we were going to start doing a trip every year. So we did Salem this year, and then next year we're going to do Sleepy Hollow, New York. So that'll be fun. You know, the whole thing with the headless horseman and all that. So we're going to.
He's real. You can see him there. I have.
Nice.
He's real? I thought I was
he's real. Of course he's real.
Huh.
Everything's real if you put your imagination to it, just like how Billy thought.
Or if you.
Was real. If you drink it, just like how Billy ate all those cookies and then saw a UFO out back. We're like, that's no UFO. That's probably just a lightning bug.
There you go.
Yeah. And of course, Elaine has a fireball in front of her. And I told her, I was like, I've had a lot of good and bad nights, or bad nights that have began and maybe ended with fireball. And of course, we have featured fireball before on our show.
I don't think I've had
one
any
of our
bad
featured
times
shots
with fireball.
Me ever.
Yeah. See, me, what
funny thing, I used to own a bar long time ago. And the drink of choice then was Jaeger.
Okay.
Until this came around. Then it was like the biggest thing. And I don't know, I just got like addicted to it.
Yes. Now Jaeger, yes, me and Jaeger do not have good relationship.
Yeah, Jaeger,
very bad relationship.
Jaeger has sent me, like, put it this way, there was a bar, and I think I brought this up on some of the War Pigs episodes when me, Blood, and Socrates have sat down, but there was a bar that we used to go to, and nights where I would drink Jaeger, we threw a picnic table into Back River, and it actually floated back, and they found it months later because it floated back. They found it. I ripped the pipe off the wall of the urinal, and water flew out of the wall and was hitting the back wall behind us. I've ripped the toilet out of the ground, and like just all this just drunken. And what does it? Anything that is dark like this is what sends me into nowhere land. Like clear liquor and all that, whatever, let's laugh, have a good time. Once I get a lot of dark liquor in my system, that's when I just want to wreck shit. I just turn into the Hawk, and it's like, okay, let's just.
I used to do those Jaeger bombs, man.
Woo! See, I give you credit.
Those Jaeger bombs, man.
Dude, I give you credit because me, like,
I did so many of those.
I personally, I can't do Red Bull. Like, I'm not a big Red Bull or type guy. Like, I can't do energy drinks, so I'd rather just.
I hate Red Bull.
Yeah, like I can't do it. Like someone would be like, "Hey, I got you a Jaeger bomb." I'm like, just give me a shot of Jaeger. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's not. Well, see, this one time we got the Jaeger bomb. The bartender didn't understand, or the bar waitress, whatever you want to call them. She gave us the shot wrong. She gave us the normally how it is. You get a little, thing of
it's
Red
like that
Bull.
little it's
filled up to about here, and then they drop the Jaeger, like the little shot in. She did it the opposite.
Right.
Oh,
so
shit,
it was filled up with Jaeger, and we dropped fucking Red Bull in there.
It's kind of like a reverse Irish car bomb.
Oh my god, we got so ripped that night. Ooh.
Yeah.
You know what? Jaeger's good when you're sick and you have a cold. Takes it right away.
Oh yeah,
immediately.
Yeah. Screw cough syrup. Let's just drink Jaeger like that.
Totally.
Yeah,
Hey man, I chugged some NyQuil before it had the same effect. So I mean,
that's true.
When you've been drinking all night and you're down to the nitty gritty, you're starting to rate. I no bullshit. I know a guy who we drank everything. We went. There was a night where we drank, and my friend Chris, who I've had on before, and we talked about some of our stories when we were growing up. we had a guy who we drank everything in the house. We drank all the liquor, we drank all the beer, we had nothing left. And he went upstairs and he started chugging regular rubbing alcohol because there was no alcohol left. And we're just all sitting there mortified, drunk out of our minds. And we're just kind of like, is he real? And we're just kind of, all right.
How
whatever.
was it?
Let's just go
50,
with it.
70 like percent? Like, oh
Dude,
my God.
I don't know. There was a time
You could die from that.
my dad, what was it? My dad had Bacardi 151. Have you ever had Bacardi 151? It's like the dark
151.
Bacardi.
Yes.
We were having a party at my house, and my dad was there, and we were playing beer pong. So instead of beer pong, my dad filled the cups up with Bacardi 151. And we were like, no fucking way. You can play with that. And sure enough, he did.
That is a
I
champ
watched
right
this
there.
man.
That's a
We were
fucking
making,
champ.
he'd never played beer pong before. So we demolished it. I watched him. And God rest his soul, because alcoholism, is what was one of the main things that my dad passed from, because he was a Vietnam veteran. But Jesus Christ, that man, like watching him put down 151 during like beer pong, like we did it before. Like, what was it when we went to Ocean City last year? What was that shit that they put in the cups? And you were like, you're drinking that shit. What
was it?
was
Johnny Walker? It wasn't the Johnny Walker.
It wasn't the Johnny Walker, because the Johnny Walker was like $200 a bottle.
Well,
Like, what was it? It was like some like fucking girly like type shit. Oh no, it was a Four Loco. We put the Four Loco in the cups. You remember that?
Girly? It's not girly.
No. I thought the girls were doing it, but you were drinking the Four Loco, and you stuck the Four Loco in the beer pong cups. And then that night, no bullshit. That night, Matt, I have never seen the devil before. I've never met Satan. But when Matt drinks Four Loco, you meet Satan. Like literally, I've watched him go in. If you've ever seen a closet that has two doors, it's a door here and a door over here. And he walked in through the door, went in as Matt. And then when he came out the other side of the closet, that was the devil. And I'm telling you, like there was a point when I woke up, apparently you were passed out on the couch. I woke up and you walked by me, you laughed, snickered, and gave me a wink. And your wife said you were passed out. I'm like, there's no doubt there was two of those motherfuckers here that night. It was Matt and it was Satan. And that was the same night that we threw an inflatable pool off of the balcony down onto the steps, and it sounded like a body smacking the ground.
I'm
with
pretty
water
sure
in it and everything.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what a body sounds like when it's a patient.
But Elaine, now you've been around like a lot of rock stars and various events, like going to Joan Jett. What's some of the craziest shit you've probably seen when you've been out places, without naming?
Oh my God.
To protect the innocent.
There is no one that I know that's innocent. That's first of all.
No.
Okay. You know what? I've seen a lot of crazy shit, but to me, it's not crazy because it's like an everyday occurrence. So it's not even like a big deal, I mean, I've had, Boy George once, right? He was walking off stage. This was kind of crazy. And I was walking right next to him. And I didn't know I was walking right next to him. And my friend Mark finally says, Eileen, that's Boy George. Like I didn't even know. I mean, that was pretty crazy. That was pretty crazy. And the reason I didn't know is because Fred Schneider from B-52s was on my other side complaining that he wanted to go home because he took too much something.
Something.
Something. I don't know
Something.
what. It was something.
It was definitely something.
The doctor just looks. The doctor's like, "Yep, I'm definitely going to say it's something."
You're on
Yeah. Now,
I'm trying to text someone that's trying to call me and tell them that I'm talking to you guys. So there we go.
No, you're right. Now, what about Howard? Have you had any crazy moments with Howard? Because I honestly love Howard. I would love to have him on the show and especially talk to him for like, now that we're doing the extended episodes here on YouTube, we could have a little bit more time, if he ever has time. But Matt wasn't here, and Matt's into like all that.
You want Howard? You
like
definitely want Howard again, because what Howard is doing now, okay, is he's launching the Howard Bloom Institute.
Oh,
now,
nice.
Mind you, okay, he was the most famous press agent in the world, and he hired myself and Jimmy. How sick is that? So he's doing this Howard Bloom Institute. And if you ask me what it is, now remember, I'm his PR. I can't tell you. So,
And I mean, that's the thing. And it's like, because not only did he do, all the stuff with Michael Jackson, Prince, Joan Jett, all that, they're publicists, but also, he's written so many books about just so much unworldly stuff. Like I'm just kind of like, and Matt's the type that when he gets drunk, he's known my wife, him and his wife's
when I get drunk and other things, I'm not going to disclose right now.
But they would sit there and he would talk about the universe and just all kinds of shit, just drunk. And I'm like, oh man, like that night he was at a wedding. I'm like, dude, you should have been on here for Howard, because you guys probably would have talked for 4 days about that kind of shit. Because
and he loves it.
Yeah.
He loves to talk.
Yeah.
And not that you're really going to understand what he says, but he does love to talk.
Yeah.
No, actually, he's the smartest man on the planet. Okay.
Most people are that the ones that are very like into that. I don't even know what you would even call it, but
we don't really try to call it anything.
Yeah.
He invented a new science.
Yes.
Basically what it is.
It's a new science. It's just called Bloom. That's all it is. Howard Bloom.
It's really it's a way of
pretty much.
It's a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, what's funny is before we went live, I asked Eileen. I was like, hey, are you good on time and all that? She's like, well, I don't have a football game, and I was just kind of like,
Wait. In his defense, hold on. In his defense, he's probably the second smartest man in the world. Musically.
He was a good guy.
You know what? If you don't know him, you're not going to like him. But when you do know him, you just love him. Honestly, I was asked to interview him as a favor to John Valesco, who I don't know if you had him yet, but you will. And John Valesco is like the biggest music publisher on the planet. Really? I mean, he managed Tina Turner, he managed ABBA, Black Sabbath, and I can go on and on and on. Nice. Okay, he's a really cool guy. He's British.
Yeah.
And he managed Randy for maybe like 40 years.
Wow.
And Randy gave Tribeca Records a record. He just gave it to them. He said, all right, here. And he asked me to do him a favor. He said, do me a favor. Go interview Randy Edelman. And I said to him, who? And he said, just go interview him. Give him a call right now. So I call him up, not being forewarned or anything.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, hi, Randy. John told me to give you a call. And he said, okay. I said, he wants me to interview you. He said, well, do you know anything about me? And I had to tell him, no, I don't even know who you are. Yeah. And he said, well, you can't interview me if you don't know who I am. I said, well, then no one's going to interview you because nobody knows who you are. I've been asking around.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing, like, and Randy was so great. Like, I love all the stuff that he's done. Like, but I would never sit there and hear like one of his tracks and go, that's Randy Edelman. Like, when you sent him over.
You would after a while. You would after a while.
And anyway. I mean, and you know our show, like just like what we're doing now, like, I like to go into a show with no set plan. I just like to go in and be like, hey, we're just going to talk. You have some, fireball. We have what we're doing. We're going to sit here and shoot the shit like what we would do if we were sitting down right now at the bar having a couple of drinks, talking about, whatever. Right. And also there could be fans that, of our show or just in general that may not know who Randy is. So that's why sometimes I just go, hey, if I really don't know, then that way it refreshes me and I remember stuff and just feed off of it from that. And I'm like, okay.
And honestly, I tried to do a little research on him and it wasn't a whole lot I could find.
Yeah.
Well, he has a good website, but you have to really like examine it. You can't just like read it.
Yeah. So we're
talking what I mean?
Stuff
I mean, honestly, the guy is a big deal. I mean, he's scored over 100 films. He's a big deal.
Yeah.
He's a total big deal. But the thing is, nobody knows that.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm his publicist now.
And see that's the thing though, is like, I'm a champ, I'm a trooper, I just kind of, I bit my tongue and I was like, okay, whatever. I'm also one of those types of guys that's like, hey, we advertise the guest, not everything's going to be great. Sometimes things are going to train wreck, and that's just the way it is. That's the thing with, entertainment or just, live in general.
Well, I'll tell you a really funny story. Okay. So I was talking to him after your show, and I wasn't going to tell him that you complained, but then I don't know, he brought something up, and I said, listen, I said, I got a 5-page complaint letter about you. And he was so happy. He goes, oh my God, let me see it. Like, he was so happy that you complained about it. Like, I didn't show him the letter. I said, no, I'm not showing it to you. I said, but take my word for it. They weren't happy with you. The thing is, we became very good friends, and he is one of the nicest guys on the planet. Okay. He really is. Yeah, you have to believe me.
Like after all that died down, he was cool, and he went along with everything,
Well, we found out a lot more because he gave us more about what he does. Everything.
So, without question. And I mean, that's the thing. And as I said, it is what it is. It's just, that happens. There's times in pro wrestling, that I've had where things would go off rails and guys would go off the script and do whatever they wanted. And, you moved on. It is what it is. So, but, I mean, as I said, it was great having him, just like anybody else. Any guest at the end of the day, any guest we appreciate, with anything, because it's like, we're not very well known. Like, a lot of stuff is picking up. Jimmy's episode did very well. Sherry's episode did very well. The adult film stars we have, they always do extremely well on the show. But it's
everybody likes sex. Apparently, shocker.
Sex sells.
Yeah, sex always.
You know what though? Do you know what? This is what you need to do. Did you ever see one of Jimmy's shows? He interacts with the people, and I don't know if you can see the people, but like Teresa Sabin, right now, as we speak, she's posting all over the place.
Oh yeah,
that your show is on at 8:00, and then I'm on it. So we're all going to say hello to her at 8:00. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
She followed us just recently and all that. So yeah, I mean, anything like that. And I mean, I'm very good with networking. Like, I'll start talking to other people. This will lead to that. And it's like, okay, I don't mind plugging something or promoting anything, or, a simple share, one simple share can do wonders, because it's like, you get
agreed.
All over the place. It's completely crazy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. This is going to conclude our pregame episode, our pregame, with Eileen Shapiro. So we're going to continue on shortly. We're going to keep on rolling here live on YouTube Live, but we're going to start our regular weekly audio episode, which,
take my hoodie off.
And Matt's going to take his clothes off because he's getting a little hot. So so Matt's going to come back and he's not going to have clothes on. But
I dare you, Matt.
I like to go live.
Double dare you.
No, that's going to get us off YouTube.
No, we started doing YouTube Live because Facebook, when all that stuff happened with Facebook, and plus for some reason,
sorry to disappoint,
we just got a 30-day ban for me posting like some sort of weird meme of like, you ever see the meme where it's like he's like hanging by a rope and he's like, first time? Like, apparently I got plugged for that from like last year, and they restricted us from going live for 30 days. I'm like, all right, whatever.
So you were in Facebook jail. All right.
I try to stay with conspiracies and shit, but swear to God, I know so many other people that got that same meme and got flagged for the same shit.
And they used to have,
and they're like, I didn't even post that.
Yeah, that used to be in their meme selection on Facebook, that you could select that very meme right there. So anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get rolling with a regular weekly episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Happy Hour podcast. Of course, my name's Ray. Matt's with me this week. And of course, we are being joined by Eileen Shapiro. She's Rockstar Journalist. Of course, you've done all kinds of stuff. And, of course, we were talking a little bit on our pre-show. Make sure you go over to our pre-show. You can see that on YouTube Live on an extended episode with this. And of course, you were saying that there was a lovely young lady that, helped share our stuff around, and you want to, give a shout out to her for doing that as well. And, we're always appreciative for anything that we get done.
Teresa, you're the best.
Yes,
Now, you
Teresa
guys say
Sabin.
hello to Teresa
Thank
right
you,
now.
everybody out there listening at home and watching at home, make sure you find Teresa Sabin on all social media platforms and give her a follow, give her a like, whatever. And Elaine, we were talking like, of course, you hooked us up with Howard Bloom, Randy Edelman. Of course, we were joking a little bit about the stuff that we had with Randy a little while ago, and you just went and saw Joan Jett. But really, with the meat of stuff, you consider yourself the Rockstar Journalist. So how did all that, being able to, do publicist stuff and, all the stuff you do with all these various rock stars and stars, how did that happen? How did all that fall into you?
I'm sorry. How old is this? It smells like someone's butthole. I'm just saying. Sorry.
Matt, you want some Fireball?
I'll take some Fireball.
Yes.
You can
We're
get
gonna hand it right
straight.
through.
I apologize. You may proceed.
How did I do it? I'm not really sure. How's that for you? You know what? A long time ago, I was a Star Trek fan. It all started back then.
Okay.
And I was going to nursing school and I love Star Trek. So I met someone from Baltimore, actually. And that's how come I know about Baltimore crabs and stuff like that. I love Baltimore because of that. So, and he was from Baltimore, but he lived in New York and he had a Star Trek store. Yeah. And we wound up like hanging out and I wound up writing, I think I was 16 or 17, the Star Trek Federation, it was first it was the giant poster book, the Star Trek giant poster book. It was a magazine that came out monthly. Okay. And then I wrote the medical manual and the Star Trek medical manual. And that's how it all really started. Okay. Yeah. But then I went and got married, not to that guy, but to somebody else. Had a bunch of kids, got rid of that guy, happily divorced. And I owned a gay bar.
Oh, nice.
All right. So I owned a gay bar and Michael Tard from Get Up Magazine, which is the coolest gay magazine on the planet, came in and, of course he wanted me to do ads. Yeah. So we did a couple of ads, but we had cool people on. We had like RuPaul's Drag Race on. Nice. And yeah, like really cool people. Amanda Lepore, and I figured we had Michelle Visage. So I figured, you know what? Instead of me doing an ad, why don't you I'll do an interview of her. And he said, all right.
Nice.
So that's how it started. I used to do an article maybe once a month. It was a weekly magazine. It's still there. So I used to do an article maybe once a month. Then it turned out to be once a week. Then it turned out to be 3 or 4 a week. Yeah. And then that's pretty much how it happened. I mean, to this day, I write for 80 magazines, but to this day, Get Out will always be my favorite. And I get the biggest celebrities from Get Out because everybody wants that gay audience. I mean, I got Diana Ross. Who gets her? I got Boy George. Matter of fact, I wrote the bio to Boy George's last album, which is kind of cool. And I interviewed the biggest, greatest, most fabulous people on the planet. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's how it started. And that's how it remains.
And what's funny is when you brought up, you used to own a gay bar, and we were talking a little bit on the pre-show that me and my wife went to Salem, Massachusetts for Halloween, and I'm a big Halloween guy. You can ask Matt. We used to do a big Halloween party every single year, and we went to a bar up there. It was called Gula Gulas. So shout out to Gula Gulas. If you're ever in Salem, Massachusetts, definitely go there. And it's basically a drag bar. So, you go there and they had drag queens there, they were performing live outside. It was awesome. And if you've never seen a drag show, definitely go see one. It's yes. And the bathrooms, they didn't have men and women's. It had a unicorn on it and, a guy with his pants down and it said, whatever, just wash your hands. And I'm like, this is awesome. Just being able to, see that and, the sense of humor and, I've seen one other drag show. I was a little bit younger when I saw it, but, they were out there and they were just killing it there. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. There's nothing in the world like a drag show.
Yeah. Oh man, it's crazy. And when you had the bar, what were some of the things that that went down at the bar. Did you guys ever have like drag shows at the bar?
Every week.
Did you ever have a
Sometimes every night. There was always a drag. There was always a queen in the bar. Always.
How
We used to do the Miss Long Island contest, which was a contest for drag queens. It was
nice.
great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Have you ever had any bar fights? How does a gay bar fight work? Like that's the
The
thing.
man takes his purse and hits the other man, and the big lesbian in the corner throws him out. That's simple.
Nice.
Nice.
Like, now that's the thing. Like, imagine like you go to a gay bar and
Get
it's
it
like,
under control,
it's like you're
boys.
used to a regular bar, you're having this big guy out there. But just imagine that you go to the gay bar and there's this big woman standing out there
Wait.
ready to fuck your world up if you do something wrong. Like
My security guard was a 6-foot drag queen. named
nice.
Kenny.
Nice. That is the
She was
best.
great. There was never really any trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
A gay
Well-
bar is the best bar in the world. You
Oh,
know what?
Yeah.
There's some cat fights, but
Right. I went
What?
to a gay bar in Rehoboth,
Yeah.
which is around our way. It's in Ocean City, Maryland. Well, not directly Ocean
Yeah.
City. Guess that's more Delaware, right? Is
Mhm.
Rehoboth more Delaware?
It's
Okay.
Delaware. It's
So it's
Rehoboth,
more Delaware.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it was. What the hell was it called? It's called like the Blue Thunder or something like that. So it was okay. I had a pretty good experience there. Everybody there was pretty chill. Got a couple looks, made me feel a little nice.
Yeah, they
I
were,
mean,
they were sitting there, they were admiring this face right here. Yeah, this manly
let's
face.
just say. I mean, I am a heterosexual.
you should be flattered, Tootsie Roll. Let me tell you.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
but I had a lot of fun there.
and Matt knows, and everybody who watches or listens to the show knows, I come from the world of pro wrestling. So, there's times where, you're in the ring and someone has a gay character, and it's the kind of thing you're in the ring and they're like, all right, well, while you're in the ring, we're going to give you a kiss or whatever, blah, blah. Or, you're in the ring and someone does what pro wrestler Rikishi used to do, and that's a stink face, and they would put their ass in your face, or they would whatever, or they would put their balls, and it's like
Whatever
it's
their
a
gimmick
show.
is. Yeah,
So it's just kind of like, okay, whatever, like, and I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it makes for, an entertaining thing. And I had one of my best managers I've ever had. He was gay, and he was one of the best managers I ever had. I used to sit there
I love it.
and joke around with them. And I was like, James, look, here's what's going to happen. And so when I worked at AMF bowling centers, I was like, look, when we leave tonight, you're going to hear some rummaging around outside. That's going to be me with a little extension ladder, and it's going to extend up. I'm going to climb up. I'm going to come in, and then we're going to have some fun. and we used to always joke around like that. So it became our ongoing joke of, oh, Ray, you're going to be there with the ladder tonight or whatever, and all that. And, so we would always just shoot the shit with that. And
well, you gotta understand. A gay or a gay manager, a bunch of wrestlers oiling themselves up.
well, no, this was at
Get
the
ready
bowling
for
alley.
a match.
This-
Oh,
yeah,
this
yeah,
was at the
this
bowling
was
alley.
yeah, this
This
was
is what. Wow.
yeah. So there was a lot of handling of balls and a lot of
Oh.
handling of pins. So
Yeah.
it
Was
kind of
it-
makes
It
sense.
was duck pin, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Was it
No,
duck pin?
no, it was half duck pins, half 10
Ah.
pins. So you had big balls and you had little balls. So it was kind of like a dealer's
You
choice
had a
of what you
var-
wanted. Yes, you had a
Dealer's
variety.
choice.
Yes.
I like that.
And Elaine, with all that, now speaking of stuff with your bar, we talked a little bit, beforehand, some of the crazier stuff you've seen, like for example, when you got to sit down and interview some of these people, was there anybody that just completely blew your mind when you interviewed them? Like someone you were just kind of like, oh man, I never thought I'd ever be able to talk to this person, in my entire life. Was there anybody that did that for you?
Twice. The first time was Billy Idol, but I never got to interview him. I got to meet him.
Yeah.
All right. And he was doing a book signing, and they let 7 of us in a room at once. And when he walked in the room, for some reason, he came over to me and he said hello to me. And everyone was like, oh my God, we didn't know you knew him. And I didn't know him, believe me. And when it came to be my turn to like shake his hand or whatever, he was talking to me and I couldn't even answer him. And I can talk, believe me. I never get that way. And the other time, the next time was Adam Ant, because he was like my fantasy person, my fangirl thing.
Yeah.
And I met him, and I always wanted to interview him. It took me 6 years to get an interview with him, but he's also one of the best interviews I ever had. So when I met him a couple of times before I got to interview him. So when I finally did get to interview him, I was so scared that I wouldn't be able to even speak. I was like, but that's the only 2 times. Otherwise than that, I don't really get intimidated.
Like,
It's cool.
Billy Idol. I saw Billy Idol not too long ago. Well, actually, it was a while ago. I think it was 2010, 2011 at a concert. And that dude, for his age, was in such good fucking shape. I was jealous. I mean, I sat there. I remember looking over at one of my friends. I'm like, if I can be in that shape at that age, that would
Totally.
be great. Like I was much younger, and I was like, I'm not even in that shape now. I'm sitting here with like a shot and a beer in my hand, drinking and eating my ass off at a concert, and this dude is ripped, 6-pack abs with his shirt off, fucking singing all these songs up on stage, not giving a shit. And I'm like, holy hell, like, and Billy Idol was one of those types of guys that when I saw him live, he was one of those guys that I knew a lot of his songs, but I didn't realize how many songs he had and how many is. And I sat there, I'm like, oh man, fuck. Like, I didn't realize that.
Where did you see him at?
It was when we went to HF Festival. It was around the time me and Jess first got together or whatever.
I see Billy Idol at HF Festival.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. I just saw him a couple of weeks ago, and he's still got that body.
Does he?
Nice.
Now
Totally.
What do you think of his new song that he just released? A new
love it.
Oh man,
I totally love it. I saw him do it in person. It's a great song. I love it. You know what? And I don't love all his songs. I love most of them, but not all of them. But that song is a good song.
Well, at one point, he kind of like, as he's singing, he kind of has more of a gristle type sound to his voice. At one point of the song, does he actually do that on the live version as well?
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. Yep. Matter of fact, when this is over, I recorded it. I'll send it to you.
Oh, nice. Yeah, definitely send it to me. I would love to see it. I haven't seen it now. Billy Idol, like, how was that? Was it pretty much packed there? Was it like a sellout or because
totally? Always.
COVID, everybody's blood hungry to go do something. We're going on 3 years into this mess. And
hold on.
Just wants to...
I have from that concert.
Oh, she's gonna pull some goodies out.
Yep.
Oh, you got a drumstick.
Yep. Signed and everything.
Yes. Nice. One thing that I've always wanted to get that I've never been able to get is when a band is playing and they throw their guitar picks out. I've come close. I've seen one of my friends not pay attention. He was drinking. He was drunk off of his ass, and they threw one of the drumsticks out, and it like hit him in the head and bounced off, and someone behind him like grabbed it. It was like, and he like looked like, what the hell was that? And like the guy behind him was just like, yeah. Because
our good friend Mike Messick, he used to do a lot of concerts with me, with by himself, or whatever. He's very good at grabbing those picks, man. I can't even see it. I mean, of course, most of the time I'm drunk or on something.
Well,
so
maybe he had what it was. What Billy had, what we were talking about on the pre-show. Maybe he was just so drunk he saw the reflection. That's what it was. It wasn't a UFO that Billy saw. It was just reflecting off the stars in the sky as it was flying. But no, like, and with your interviews, like, who would you say you've interviewed the most out of anybody else? Is there anybody that stands off the top of your head that you've interviewed more times?
Yeah. I think it's a tie between Cyndi Lauper. I think I interviewed her 12 times.
Wow.
And yeah, it has to be her. It's got to be her. I interview a lot of people a lot of times. They always come back for more. Jennifer Nettles, I've interviewed a whole bunch of times. Rick Springfield, I interviewed him, and he was intimidating to me because I had a bucket list, and my bucket list was Rick Springfield, Billy Idol, and Adam Ant. Nice. So he actually came to me after reading a Cyndi Lauper article and was like so impressed. He was like, interview me, and I was like, oh, another one I didn't think I'd be able to talk to, but he wound up coming back a couple of times for an interview. Scott Page from Pink Floyd, I've interviewed him a million times because he's also my client. So, yeah, I mean, maybe Cyndi Lauper, I think. She does a show every year in New York, so every year I do her, and every time she comes out with a new album, she likes to be interviewed.
Nice. And Cyndi Lauper, of course, she had so much backing in the rock and wrestling connection with pro wrestling. It's just completely insane. But real quick, shout out to the Mike Wagner show. He's commenting in our live.
Hey, Mike.
Along with Teresa Sabin. You see Sabin marketing on there. Make sure for everybody listening at home, make sure you watch us live on YouTube. You guys can interact with the guests, interact with us, and you get to see
totally
and
totally
see everything compared to hearing it. And that's the thing. Cyndi Lauper, just her with Girls Want to Have Fun, and she was a big vital part. That if she wasn't involved with WrestleMania and all that, the whole rock and wrestling connection with Hulk Hogan and all that, I don't think WWF would have made it through WrestleMania, because she was a huge part of WrestleMania as well, the very first WrestleMania. So it's always cool talking about Cyndi Lauper, because that I don't know like a lot of her music. Of course, everybody knows her main songs, but I know her more so from being, as long as I was in the wrestling industry, for everything she contributed in the early days with Hogan and Piper and the whole rock and wrestling connection.
Yeah.
So
she's way cool. She's totally way cool. There's nobody that I've ever interviewed that I have to say, oh my God, it was a terrible interview. That's the truth.
Yeah.
There's some that were way better than others, but
yeah. Well,
except maybe the first time I interviewed Randy Edelman. No, just kidding.
And like me, I'm kind of like that. Like I'll sit there and we'll do like an interview, and like I was kind of the same way. I'm my own worst critic. I was the same way with wrestling. I would go out and I would wrestle a match, and I would sit there and I would think to myself, I was like, man, that match was shit. Like I know it was shit. Like and I'll sit there and I'll watch it back, because when you're in the ring, your adrenaline's going. You hear the crowd, but you don't hear the crowd. So sometimes I would have people in the crowd, they'd be like, oh, hey, I yelled this to you, did you hear me? And I was like, no, because I'm so in that zone of what I'm doing in the ring. But I would sit there and I would watch back and I'd be like, oh man, I didn't realize that when we did this, the crowd did this, and then I would sit there and I would watch the match back, and just all these little things, all these little, and I was like, oh man, shit, what, that wasn't as bad. And I've done that with, interviews before, where I would think, oh man, I didn't do that great of a job, with the interview. And then we'd go back and we'd listen to it back or watch it back. I'm like, man, that was actually pretty fucking good.
What was your wrestling name?
My wrestling name, when I first started, I had a gimmick. I was an evil villain. My name was Gold Thumb. And then later on in time, I had it for 2 years. And then the last 18 years that I was wrestling, I went under Chase Rawlings. So, a lot of stuff, if you see,
were you any good?
I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say I was good enough to make it to WWE, but, I had a pretty decent career. I did everything that, I wanted to do. There were some opportunities that I had that, I didn't capitalize on. I probably could have got better opportunities if I got more in shape, and just stuff like that. But I would never take back anything. I was able to wrestle Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh my God.
WWE right now. Adam Cole.
Did you win?
No, I lost. And he also busted my lip open in that match as well. A funny story. When I wrestled Jake the Snake Roberts, we were talking in the back, and at the time the commission wouldn't let Jake wrestle because Jake was having a lot of alcohol problems. And the doctor was like, well, he's the worst physical specimen we've ever looked at. He can't wrestle tonight. And my promoter was like, well, there's like fucking like 2,000 people out there waiting for Jake to wrestle. Fuck that. So he got fined, and we went out there and it was a tag match. And so the match started, and I get in the ring with Jake, and Jake goes to do 3 jabs. And the first jab he threw, he punched me right in the mouth. And the top part of my lip just exploded. And he hit me with 2 gave me a short arm clothesline. And as he was clotheslining me, I heard him go, sorry, dude, as he's clotheslining me, because he knew he made the contact. And we were in the back, and he wasn't allowed to handle snakes anymore because he got in trouble with PETA for, what he used to do when he would get drunk, like not taking care of the snakes. So somebody brought a random snake that no one had ever met before. Like just a random person brought a random python to the show, and they're like, Jake's going to use the snake. And they're like, after the match, Jake's going to throw the snake on you guys. And I see Jake, and Jake goes like this. He taps Bob Starr. Bob Starr was the referee. He taps Bob on the shoulder, and he's like, I'm going to put the snake down their pants. The snake's going to meet their snake. And I sit there and I heard that. I'm like, that's good to know. So we were running a gimmick that I was quote unquote allergic to snakes. So I was rallying to not have Jake go. And so as soon as he pulled that snake out and it touched me, I started freaking out. I rolled out of the ring. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting whelps. I'm getting whelps. Oh my God, I'm allergic. And I look up the entranceway and I see Jake stick the snake down my partner's pants. And I see his eyes get all big. And I'm like, glad I heard that, because yes, I would not have liked that at all. Like, I do not need
awesome.
Jake Snake consuming my snake from this random ass snake that was brought to the show. Like, yeah, that's definitely not going to happen. Like,
I wish I was
All
there.
right, watch your screen. I'm getting all kinds of texts. I think Soho Johnny's going to say hello too.
oh, awesome.
Just people are texting me left and right, so I guess people do watch your show.
Of course, Soho Johnny, he was great. He had that 9/11 gala, and of course, you were a part of that too, along with Rock Streamer. How was that?
It was the most fabulous event on the planet. We thought it was unorganized up until the day of. In our heads, we're like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? But it was really the smoothest thing. So organized. We had a huge red carpet with Mickey Burns hosting the red carpet. Soho Johnny stayed on the red carpet the whole time. Nice. And he did great. He's a very unusual host. Like, people that meet him love him right away. There's nobody on this planet that can say anything bad about Soho Johnny, because it just isn't anything bad about him.
Yeah, he's such a good guy, and he has such a good heart. Like, literally, like everything that he's about, and I told him, I was like, man, have you ever considered doing a charity wrestling show? Because I told him, I was like, dude, I'll drive to New York and I'll do the show myself. I haven't wrestled a show for years.
Wait, I just tried to talk him out of it. I said, listen, John. He said, I want to do wrestling. I'm like, Johnny, that's expensive. And I just now text him. I said, wait, this guy that's on the podcast, let's get him. So there you go. That's how things happen.
That's the thing. Like, I know a handful of promoters that will be able to help Johnny with that. There's a very reputable promoter here in Maryland, Dan McDivitt. He owns Maryland Championship Wrestling. So, they're one of the biggest. They're kind of a feeder system for Ring of Honor and AEW somewhat too. They had a lot of homegrown talent that are now in, big companies. So I could always have them help out with it too. All he has to do is reach out to me. I can get him all the contacts or whatever, he needs.
Well, it'd probably be me that reaches out to you.
Yeah. That's the thing. Maryland, I would never advise doing it in Maryland, because the Maryland State Athletic
Commission. Oh, no, honey, you're traveling right up here to New York, darling.
Yeah, Maryland Athletic Commission, they're a bunch of crooks. You lose money paying the Athletic Commission before you even put the show on. So I would never advise anybody. Like, I love the wrestling in this state, but the Athletic Commission, like, it's crazy. Like, you have to pay for everybody to be licensed. You have to pay for this. They get a percentage of your shows. You're like, you're getting a percentage of my show just to fucking be here. Like, what? Like, no, like, you're not, this is bullshit. So, but yeah, Athletic Commission in Maryland's absolutely crazy. But no, I mean, it's just, it's great, doing all that. So
she's writing shit down.
And it's funny.
I'm writing this right now as we talk.
Mike's commenting in the live feed, and he's like, you guys are doing a hell of a job. And he's like, love to have all of you guys on my show. Mike, just hit us up, get our contact.
Mike you know what, Mike, I'm going to give him one of my dates that you gave me.
Hey,
no, Mike gives us dates every month, and his show is great. Like, we pray for dates for Mike Wagner, and God forbid he doesn't give us any. Jimmy and I freak. We're like, oh my God, he didn't give us any. Let's contact him. Mike is great.
Yeah. Well,
so,
it's cool, because next year we're a little bit more coordinated, because like now, we have you that we work with. We have, someone through the Rub PR who hooks us up with a lot of our adult film star guests. We have so many different PR people that we're kind of juggling around. Of course, we're going to have Mr. Skin on in December. He runs the Mr. Skin website. So now it's the kind of thing that going into 2022, I can have a date and go, okay, this date's going to be for, Eileen and Jimmy. This date can be for this person. This date can
That's
be for.
What Mike does, I think.
Yeah, and then
Mike, is that what you do? Ask him.
But Elaine, what is the probably the coolest event that you've got to be a part of, doing everything that you do? Like, anything that stands off your head that you're like, oh man, like, it was just kind of like a jaw-dropping experience.
9/11 was pretty cool. I'd have to say that's definitely one of the top ones. Yeah, it was cool because we had so many celebrities doing it for free, like for free, like for no money.
Yeah.
And we had so many celebrities also that came, which was so cool.
Nice.
We had Mario Van Peebles, and we had like super huge people that came. And then we had people that wouldn't come because they thought since we were in New York, we were going to be blown up because it was the 20th anniversary. So we had a bunch of those kind of people too.
Why would they think like the security that we have now for so much stuff? Right. Like I don't ever see something of that magnitude ever happening again. Like
you know what? I never say never, but it's not going to happen in New York because we did that already. Like I told all the people from LA that were afraid to come. I said, you know what? We're on alert. They got us already. You guys in LA better watch it. I just felt like scaring them. All right. I think Johnny's on. Hi, Johnny. Say hi to Johnny.
Johnny, how are you, man? Pleasure speaking. Of course, as I said, Johnny was cool. I told Johnny it was funny because a lot of the studio photos that he had taken, and we used it on his graphic. I told him he had brought something up about James Bond. I told him, I was like, wearing that suit, that tux that you had on, I was like, you look like James Bond. Like he looked like he could have been in a James Bond.
You know what? Johnny has many looks. He can look like James Bond. He can dress like Boy George. He has a lot of looks and he's a character. He's a total character. And he did that for 9/11. He was great. He has amazing stage presence.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying this for like an extra bonus, Johnny. I really mean it. But he has like amazing stage presence. He can get up there and he's always nervous and he's always like, oh, scripted for me. But he never does the script. He does his own thing.
Yeah,
he just needs to
that's why with this show, like literally I took down next to no notes. I do that with almost every episode because with wrestling, it's like, we would sit there and I would have guys, we would talk about the match for like 30 minutes. And at that point, I would have my hand on my head like this, about 30 minutes into talking about the match. Like you're telling me so much shit. You're going to forget all of it. And then I would sit there and be like, all right, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to come out. This is how we're going to start. We're going to do this towards the middle. And then what do you want to do for a finish? Okay, this is what we're going to do for a finish. The rest of it we'll call out there. And then they'll sit there and they'll look at me like, what? And it's like, look, all you got to do is just go out there and fucking listen. That's it. I'm going to give you directions on whatever to do. And the fans will, kind of lead us along too. And that's how I do everything with that is that, I like calling stuff on the fly. That's what I know from wrestling. If it gets too scripted, it starts to sound too scripted. If it gets too scripted, you're going to forget a lot of stuff. Like,
all right, I got it right now. Everybody listen. I am going to sell a bunch of tickets, charity tickets. You, okay?
Yeah.
Are going to take on Soho Johnny.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. As I said, you guys want to do it. I know a bunch of guys. We had Al Snow on our show. I could probably reach out to Al Snow, get him on. I'll talk to Danny from MCW, see if he can help out, get some guys. He knows a lot of guys from AEW, see what's up. As I said, I have no idea what costs or anything like that.
I'll tell you what, if you do it and you go against Soho Johnny, I will throw in Randy Edelman.
Put it this way, it's whoever wins gets 5 minutes with Randy Edelman. That's
yes.
Or it'll be a Randy Edelman on a pole match. You put a pole on the ring post and you tie him to the top, and whichever one of us climbs in and pulls him down, that's who wins.
What if he comes in like Money in the Bank, just runs?
Yeah. He comes down with the briefcase and he slides in, hits me with the briefcase, and then he pins Soho Johnny and he wins the match. Yeah. And what
that would be great, actually.
What we're going to do real quick is we're going to get into our featured beers of this episode, and of course, good shout out to our good friends over at Hysteria Brewing Company, Ty and all the guys over there. We've been out there. We've aired live there before. Of course, I had Be Kind, Please Be Kind Rewind from Hysteria Brewing Company. Of course, it has a whole blockbuster look to it, blockbuster video. And of course, Matt right here has one of the easiest ones, classic Bud Light. So shout out to Bud Light, shout out to Hysteria Brewing Company for our featured beers. And of course, what we're going to do is we're going to get into our featured shot. So our featured shot
already.
And I was telling Elaine before we went on that it comes from our good friend Sherry Nelson. She sent this out to us, and it is none other than Metallica's Blackened Whiskey. So if you want to put some fuel and some fire in your veins, definitely pick up some Metallica Blackened Whiskey. Also, make sure you pick up the Black album, Metallica's new Black album that just came out. So shout out to Metallica.
Yeah.
Shout out to Blackened Whiskey. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead, pop this guy off here. We're going to do our typical pour this over the laptop and hope that it doesn't spill on the laptop and destroy everything, because that's our trademark of being idiots for doing stuff like that. There you go. And then this one right here. And then we would do this. And
That's
then
a pretty big shot glass, Tootsie Roll.
What's that?
I said, that's a pretty big shot glass.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, you know what? This isn't as bad. When we did the gin, though, we had some gin that we did. Oh, my God. That was so brutal. All right. Here we go.
Guys.
Oh, man. I love that when it goes down, you kind of feel it in the back of your nose as it goes down, too. Now, Eileen, of course, everybody that's been on our show knows that we have games. We've played games with everybody. We did it with Jimmy. Of course, we're going to get into our game segment, Oh, the Humanity. So we're going to start it off with something that I like to call Name 3. So what I want you to do, I want you to name 3 places where you would not want to find a body.
My bedroom. Unless it was a live body and it so never mind. All right, my bedroom, my car,
Okay.
or my daughter's swimming pool.
Okay. All right. Matt, 3 places where you would not want to find a body.
My closet, my freezer,
I would hope.
which is where I
That
normally
sounds more
hide
like a
the bodies.
Socrates type thing. Like,
I mean, that's normally where I hide the bodies anyway. But and in my garden.
In your garden. Okay. Okay. So mine will be on the back of my truck at work, in my wife's vehicle, because then there's a whole shit ton of questions that are going to have to happen there. And I hope that they don't ever find a body in Socrates' yard, because if that's the case, then that rumor of him killing that poor young prostitute will indeed be true, and him burying her in the backyard will indeed be true, of that rumor that we always joke around with Socrates about for killing a prostitute. And now the second part of this is, Elaine, where would you, 3 places where you would hide a body, where no one would be able to find, or 3 creative places where you would hide a body if you had to hide a body?
Soho Johnny Cemetery. That's a long story. In the woods behind my house, because no one goes there. We have like 5 feet of woods. And probably in the middle of Times Square, because no one would notice it.
Jeez.
All right, Matt, 3
Nobody
places.
would
Where
notice
would
it.
you hide a body?
Good Lord. Guess in the bottom of a creek,
Okay.
somebody like a random place.
Okay.
I'd have to see who's doing construction work,
So pretty much like a thing like
in
a
the
vat of
sea.
concrete.
in the bed.
Okay, vat of concrete. Okay.
Other than that, it's just I guess in the woods,
You know what? Okay. All right. If I had to choose 3, I would choose the White House lawn, mainly because no one would really ask a lot of questions about that. Well, there would be a lot of questions, but also it'd be like, how would a body end up on the White House lawn without being detected beforehand? Brian Laundrie's parents' house. And let's see, what's another place where I could probably somewhere out in Amish town, because there's not a lot of dead people that turn up in Amish town. So there's not really a lot of killers in Amish country. So I would go out to Amish country somewhere.
I don't know.
Here you go.
I've seen some shit. Have you ever seen, what is that like?
Discovery
movie.
Plus. Discovery Plus has a series called Amish Kills, and it's all about Amish killers or whatever.
Those fuckers are crazy too, man.
All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into what do you mean? So pretty much, Elaine, you've seen memes online, right?
Uh-huh.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold up a picture. This was a randomly drawn card that I have out of the What Do You Mean box. I'm going to hold up the picture. And what I want you to do is I want you to create a meme for that picture. And then Matt will do one and then I'll do one. So there you go. That's going to be what it is. Of course, for those of you listening at home,
Meme itself, funny.
it's Barack Obama and he's giving a wink. So if you could meme that, what would you meme that as?
Oh my God. I don't know. It looks more like he's not giving a wink. It looks more like he's eating like something sour. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at this game. What's his name go? Let Matt go.
Matt, what would you say for this?
Well, between the presidents that we've had, like after him, he's probably saying, "Bet you wish I was back in office, don't you?"
If I could, with this image right here, it would be when someone comes up to you and goes, "Hey man, I need you to dispose of a body for me." This is the look that you would give. I got you right here. All right. So that's What Do You Meme? And Elaine, what we're going to do is we're going to get into our game Incoherent. So Incoherent, pretty much, I'm going to hold up a series of cards. It's going to be 3 cards, and they're going to be in drunken lingo. So what you need to do is sound it out, kind of listen to yourself as you sound them out and try to figure out what is on those cards. And there's 2 hints on the back. So let me know if you need a hint.
That one's
So,
pretty
this
easy.
one is that's the first card right there. Can you notice that? Okay. Can you read that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now I'm supposed to tell you what it means.
Tell me what the card says.
Pretend
so pretty
that
much
you-
sound it
yes.
out. Yeah.
Just pretend you
Orgasm. him.
say it like you're obliterated,
Yeah.
like like you're just drunk.
Like orgasm.
Wait, what did you
got
say?
it. She got it.
It's yes, and the hints were pleasant finish, and then the second hint was for men, a daily occurrence; for women, an urban legend. Yes, and this is the second one. What do you think that is?
In your dreams.
I don't know. Give me a hint.
All right, one of the hints is eat fresh.
Now I'm really off.
What's easy?
I wish I was obliviated. Then I would probably be able to do it. Give me another hint.
Sound it out and try to listen to yourself as you say it, because a lot of times you'll say it as you're sounding it out. It says, all right, so the first hint is eat fresh. The other hint is 568 after taxes.
Oh man, I don't know.
All right, I'll give you a hint.
It's a Subway commercial.
Yes,
Basically.
yeah, it's a slogan for Subway, and Jared Fogle is probably getting a lot of those in prison right now.
Like Subway, the food Subway?
Yes.
I don't do Subway really, so I can't tell you.
All right, well,
I give up.
All right, $5 footlong. It was a $5. Of course, Subway had their $5 footlong. So, and then this one right here. What do you think that is?
I don't know what that is.
15. I don't know, something 15, right?
You have the
That's the
second
last part.
part. The second part is 15. The first hint is collegiate perks. Perks you would have in college.
Freshman?
Oh, yes, freshman 15. And the
All
second
right.
was the weight you put on from spending your first year away from home and eating nothing but beer and pizza. So freshman 15, 15 pounds that you put on when you first go to college.
Oh, okay. I get it.
And of course, our Ode to Humanity segment, we cannot do that without Cards Against Humanity. Have you ever played Cards Against Humanity?
I have.
Okay, all right. So we do it a little bit different on the game because obviously, we tried to do it before and it gets hard to remember certain cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off the black face card and then you're going to randomly pick the answer. You're not going to know what the answer is going to be. And I'm going to give you an option between 1 and 6. And then you're going to pick 1 through 6. If you're not satisfied with your answer, you can pick again. But whatever the second round is, that's what the card's going to be. So this one is actually a draw too. So you'll pick 2 cards. And the face card, I never truly understood blank until I encountered blank. So you get 2 numbers, 1 through 6. Which 2 do you want to go with first?
3.
3. All right. So here's 3. 3 and what else?
6.
6. All right. So 3 and 6. So now, since this is a double, it'll say, I never truly understood scrotum tickling until I encountered grandma.
Oh, God.
Does that work for you? Or do you want to rebuttal and try to answer that with 2 different cards?
Well, if it doesn't work for her, it works for me.
It works. That definitely works for me.
That works for you. All right. So she's going to keep that. So what we like to do too is go over some of the other cards. So some of the other answers could have been ominous background music, crazy opium eyes, advice from a wise old black man, and inappropriate yodeling. So the way that actually worked out was great.
Good.
Like, yeah, that was good.
That was perfect.
Yeah. So now we're going to do a second round. So the
rest
second
in peace,
round,
Grandma.
and of course, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's only 4 cards for this one. And this one says, yo mama's so fat, she blank. So 1 through 4, which do you
3.
think? 3. All right. She's going to go with 3 again. Let's see what 3 is. So 3. All right. Your mama's so fat, she's rising from the grave. So do you like that one, or do you want to have a rebuttal and you can pick another
1.
card? All right. So you're going to go with 1. So 1. Your mama's so fat, she's overpowering your father.
That's not bad. I'll keep that one.
All right. Cool. So that's our Ode to Humanity segment. Of course, the 2 cards that you could have had for answers was eating all the cookies before the AIDS bake sale and then whining like a little bitch.
So I think I did all right.
Yeah, I think you did pretty good. And really,
yeah.
Because with Incoherent, people either do really good or do really bad. Like they either get it right away or they just can't figure it out. But I got that for Christmas last year. My wife's cousin gave me that for Christmas. I was like, man, I got to play this on the show. And the games have kind of grown a little bit, and it's fun. But pretty much with everything going down, like what do you think were some of your best experiences? Doing everything, with Soho Johnny, with your Rockstar journalism. What do you think? Even if it's in your life, some of the best things that you've had come out of that, like. With me, pro wrestling, everything I have today, I met my wife due to pro wrestling, everything I have, this podcast, I was able to do a TV show for a little bit of time. Everything I have today was due to the fact of me deciding to be a pro wrestler. What was it, for everything that you do that, kind of, you got out of that?
I'll tell you, meeting the people like Soho Johnny, like Randy, like Howard, like Jimmy.
Yeah.
All of these people have become like my lifelong friends.
Yeah. And
there's nothing better than that.
And I tell people all the time, they're like, well, when you do the podcast, I'm like, like for example, we have a lot of local comedians as friends. Shout out to Tommy Sabazo, shout out to Eric Woodworth, shout out to Ashley Pontius. They help us out on the podcast whenever, they're not doing comedy shows, but it's about friendships, or, it's about renewing some of our friendships. Like, for example, former WCW superstar Bob Starr, I've known him forever. He's on the show very often, so it's about just, meeting new people, creating new friendships, but also it's about, me and Matt, we didn't hang out as much as we would like to, but being able to do the show, me and him are at least guaranteed to see each other a couple of times a month when he's available. And we become
lovers.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. I was going to actually ask you.
No, we're not lovers now.
No. But there was.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes the way you look at me.
There was that one time when you got drunk here and you passed out on the floor, and I put you in the shower.
I knew it.
And you passed out face down in the shower with your ass in the air. And I turned the shower on you, and water was just filling up your ass. And I was just kind of like, man, like. He's so tall. I was like, I could just come in here and do whatever I wanted right
Look,
now. He would
would
never know and not ever ask questions.
I wouldn't have blamed you. I get it. I get it.
But no, we're both happily married.
Yes.
You know, Matt's wife is my wife is one of her best friends. So you know, it's fun
Yep.
being able to do it. You know, my wife's a trooper. Everything that, you know, I've had to deal with pro wrestling and the podcast, and, you know, her locking herself up in the room with the dogs so the dogs don't run down here and fuck everything up while, you know, we're live or, you know, recording the podcast. You know, it's just, it's fun and it's great to deal with. And, you know, we get to meet a lot of amazing people like yourself, you know, Jimmy Star, you know, everybody that we've met through the podcast, you know, I appreciate and all that. So, you know,
I've met so many people that I'm so starstruck still to this day. Like I've met so many.
You know what? It's not even the celebrities, because the celebrities are great, but people like Teresa Saban. I don't even we never even met in person. You know, except we met on one of Jimmy's Zoom shows, which was very cool. But I mean, she's become a friend.
Yeah.
You meet Soho Johnny will be my friend for life, no matter what happens. Randy, Jimmy, I mean, Howard. I love all of my clients. I love them with my whole heart. There's not one in the bunch that I would say, like I really love them, even though some are difficult, but I still love them.
Yeah. It's because, you know, I'm looking at for maybe next year, kind of doing a sub show. It's going to be called the Happy Hour Podcast Roundtable. And I already have like one kind of planned out for January or February, and it's going to have 3 pro wrestlers on it. And we're going to sit there and talk about strictly pro wrestling. And, you know, it's kind of like an extra kind of show to keep content out. And maybe somewhere down the line, maybe I can have you, Jimmy, and Soho all on at one time. And we'll all sit there and talk about all of your experiences that you've had with each other. And that's fun because it's just a round table. It's like, hey, this round table is open. Hey, let's talk about.
That's actually a cool idea.
You know, so
and you know what's even cooler? To have 3 people that never met each other.
No, we've talked about that. We talked about that.
Like totally different people from totally different walks of life. Sit down.
I want to do another one called Strange Bedfellows. And what it would be is I would have like pretty much an adult film star and Howard Bloom. And it would be 2 people who would have nothing in common and basically just sit there and talk for like an hour or two and just see how that would go on. And
when he actually kicked that to me, dude, I was like, that is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Do it.
Yeah. And
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and it would just be so great because, I mean, you know, just look at it this way. You know, we have someone like Lauren Phillips or Sarah J, and they come on and they're on with Howard Bloom, and Howard Bloom just talking about the Howard Bloom type stuff, and their minds just kind of like, I don't know.
I don't know. Doesn't understand what's going on.
Yeah, and they just walk out of frame, and you're like, "Where'd you go?" And they're like, "I don't know. I just had to throw the dildo real quick. Like my mind doesn't know how to process. I don't know what to do." But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm very creative. Like I'm always thinking of, you know, new stuff. Like, you know, I told Matt, you know, I try to send t-shirts out. Of course, make sure you give me your address. I'll send you a t-shirt, you know, whatever. And sending out stuff to guests, that's another way of networking. You know, we have you post a photo like, hey, you know, hey, I got the shirt from the guys from people are going to see that, you know, Sarah.
Totally.
And the day Sarah J posted it, we got like our social media just went crazy, absolutely nuts. And Sarah J is one of the most known adult film stars on the planet. And she posted a photo of her wearing the podcast shirt that we sent out to her. And I was just kind of on Twitter, I was just kind of like, Jesus Christ. It was like 100 notifications, another 100 notifications, like minutes later. And I'm just like, this is insane. Like people sharing it or whatever. So, you know, it's just all about little things you do, little
totally
here and there that, you know, help out with all kinds of stuff. And of course, on the audio portion of this, we're starting to run a little bit short on time. We got probably about like 10 minutes left for everybody listening to us on every major podcast platform. Elaine, where can everybody find everything on you? And of course, there was something else I meant to ask you about too. And that's actually, where is it right here? It was waiting. It was called Waiting for Interviews and Obsessions for Adam. Can you tell us a little bit about that too?
That was my quest to interview Adam Ant. My book out there, and it was people I met, like trying to interview him. So, it's a cool book. You should read it. It's really fun. It's fun. And you can find me. That's a good question. I think I'm Eileen Shapiro 3 on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook as Eileen Shapiro, and Instagram, I think, is also Eileen Shapiro 3. But I have some kind of web thing that Billy made for me, and it's Eileen Shapiro rocks. Eileen Shapiro .rocks or something like that. You'll find me. If you want to find me, you know what? I have a really big mouth. You'll find me.
And where can everybody find the book? Can everybody get it from your website or?
Get it from Amazon. You can get it from Barnes and Noble. It's actually New Haven Publishing put it out, and they're actually a British publishing company.
Okay.
So you can write to them. You can find me and ask me for a copy, and I'll order it for you after I find out where to order it. Stuff like that.
And what do you have any cool interviews coming up or anything like that? Like any special guests, that you had that of? And of course, you had Joan Jett. You went out to her show last night. Did you interview her last night too, or did you just go to the show?
I didn't, but I'm working on it. She actually, I said I'd review her, so she was kind of cool. She told Howard, she goes, "Well, can she mention all my songs?"
Yeah, of course. We mentioned before, she's a Maryland girl. I forgot what it was. I think it was like some NBA playoff or an NFL game or something like that. And it wasn't even in Maryland. It was nowhere in Maryland. It may have been in Tennessee. And they had her sing the national anthem. And you could see the Maryland in her, because in a national anthem, whenever you go to an Orioles game and you hear the national anthem, everybody in Maryland, when they get the "Oh Say Can You See," everybody yells, "Oh!" And she did that during the national anthem, and everybody looked like, "What the hell is going on?"
What just happened?
Yeah, we catch shit for it all the time because everybody's like, "That's the national anthem," and I'm like, "Well, you know what? It was written here by Francis Scott Key. It was written here in Baltimore. We have the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Damn it! If we want to yell 'Oh' during the national anthem, we will, because it's ours. It belongs to us."
Hold on, I got a text from Soho Johnny. Anime's ex, one of Soho Tribeca's record people label. They're gonna be coming to New York, and you're gonna like this one. November 27th, Randy Edelman at Chelsea Table and Stage in New York. You know what? I'm gonna invite the two of you. You come down. It'll be worth it.
Actually, I think we have an interview, I believe, that day, so we might not be able to come up for that. But I'll look. But no, I mean, definitely, if we could, I'd come up. Hey, that'd be.
And the day after that, he's gonna play in the gay bar, the Monster, which is really fun.
Okay, we should go.
Wait.
You should go.
You said it's called the Monster?
Yes.
You should make him wear a monster costume. Like, it's a monster. Like,
I'm scared to see the costume he wears. Trust me.
Well, it's funny because we talked a little bit during the, at the beginning, how you brought up Star Trek. And it's funny because I was never really a big Star Trek person. Like, I don't know much, but from Star Trek,
your wife is a very big fan of Star Trek.
Yeah, she knows Star Trek a little bit. And the only thing I know really, I like Jean-Luc Picard. That was, a little bit, more of my time. And the only thing I know about the original Star Trek with William Shatner, the most I know about William Shatner as Captain Kirk is Michael Myers' mask. And that's it, because it was a Captain Kirk mask that they painted white and made the eyes bigger. Other than that, I don't know anything about the Captain Kirk era of Star Trek. I know a little bit about.
Well, that was my. You know what? That wasn't my era, but they did reruns, so that was my era, and I love Leonard Nimoy to death. Wait, I'm being text. Oh, okay. I was just told to when I mentioned that Randy was going to be at the Monster, Soho just said, "Look at the name of his song coming out." But it's coming out the other side, Johnny. Different. And we will also be hanging out in Soho Johnny's cemetery on November 30th. And if you really want to have some fun, it's in Connecticut. We'll send you the address. Come hang out at Soho Johnny's cemetery.
Nice. We're gonna have to see what's going on or whatever. See if maybe the wives want to go up or whatever, because that'd be a fun little drive to go up and do something like that. We definitely want to get together with all you guys one day, and
you will have
Something.
time that you ever had in your life. I guarantee you.
Nice. And of course, it's funny because Jimmy is also a big horror guy. So whenever anybody goes to perform at Monster, they should be obligated to wear a monster mask. That's the thing. You go to perform. It's kind of like, what is it? The Masked Singer. Like you should have people. They have to wear like a monster costume of some kind. It's like tonight performing live, Randy Edelman as the creature from the Black Lagoon, and he just comes out and does his stuff. But he's dressed up like the creature from the Black Lagoon. And if people walk in, they have no idea what the fuck's going on. All they see is the creature from the Black Lagoon playing a piano and doing all the stuff that Randy Edelman does. And they're just kind of like, I thought Randy Edelman was supposed to be. What's up with this like lagoon monster thing? But it's never.
Actually, Randy Edelman just put out Ghostbusters 2 score. So you're right up there.
Yeah.
You're right up there.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's the kind of thing that you never announce to the crowd that someone's going to be in a monster costume, and they just come in and are just kind of like, why is Michael Myers up here singing? I don't understand.
What be fun?
Yeah.
You guys have to come down. I'll send you an invitation, and you definitely have to come to the cemetery.
Okay. What is the cemetery? What is that exactly?
There is a cemetery behind Soho Johnny's office. And sometimes Soho Johnny likes to walk through the cemetery in the summer and read the graves to me, which is really cool. So it started as a joke.
Yeah.
It started as a joke. I was talking to Randy while Johnny was on Facebook looking through the graves, and I told Randy. And then when Randy came here, we passed the cemetery, and he goes, "Oh, let's go in the cemetery and take a picture." So Soho Johnny then invited us to have dinner in his cemetery, and this became a whole big thing. So,
awesome.
Yes.
You know what we should do? We should get Jay and Kara, and we should go up there.
Oh no.
Yeah, that
would be pretty funny.
That would be pretty fun. His one friend Kara, she does like medium type stuff, and I know paranormal investigators. Like, great to put a paranormal investigator, and like you're sitting there reading the graves, only to hear that the graves are reading something back on like an EVP or something like that, or you hear a disembodied voice go, "Please stop reading my headstone."
Yeah, I'm going to get the fuck out of there if that happens. But it's just...
Now, eating dinner in a like, is it like a big cemetery or is it just like a kind of?
No, it's a really old one.
Okay.
It's a really old.
Matt's having a hard time processing thoughts right now.
Wrap my brain around having a dinner in a cemetery.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: if you have dinner in a cemetery, you need to eat like lasagna and like hot dogs and like stuff that like
that is like
body parts.
We're having a catering with candelabra. We're getting a piano. It's going to be done up well.
You can eat like pickled pig's feet. Then that way you're eating feet and you're in a cemetery. And it's like, oh, okay. You know?
It just sounds like some Addams Family shit right there.
You know what? We're going to pick someone that we're burying alive.
Yeah.
And I think I know who we're doing. I think I just got a revelation. I think I know who that person is.
Who is it?
Fuck.
One of you. You can choose.
Let's do it. Well, what I mean, that kind of reminds me of the kind of thing that I heard. There was this haunted attraction that was around. I think it might have been a Six Flags somewhere. That they would have paid you like $5,000, and pretty much what it would be is they would put you in a coffin and lower you down underground, and you would have to stay in there for 12 hours. And if you could survive 12 hours, they would bring you back up and they would give you like $5,000 or something like that.
I don't know. And, give me some fucking night clothes.
And apparently, like everybody,
like $50,000
3 or some shit like that. I'm like, how could you last 12 hours? So like I believe
I would do it.
Like coffins are like airtight. So I think what they were doing is I think they were having you sign up for a murder. And you just didn't know that it was a murder. And they slow you down. And when they bring you back up, they open it up and they're like, well, he's dead. So sorry about that. He signed this waiver. You know, you can't sue us. So, you know, whatever. But
no, what was it? $5,000?
Yeah.
No $5,000 for you.
And what we're going to do is with our audio episode, we're going to go ahead and wrap up for everybody listening at home. Of course, make sure you tune in. Our next episode will be with Addie Lee. Addie Lee is a cam star. She does a lot of nude camming and all that. So she will be joining us live next week. For those of you watching us live, that will be on Sunday, November 14th at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time or Pacific Time. Make sure you tune in for that. For those of you listening at home, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We're going to hang out for a couple more minutes live on YouTube. So for everybody listening at home, thank you for listening to the Happy Hour podcast. We will see you guys next week. All right, so that's it for the audio portion of the episode. That's where that's going to go ahead and cut off, be edited off. Eileen, thank you for joining us. Real quick, would you just be able to say, hey, this is Eileen Shapiro, and you're listening to the Happy Hour podcast, so we can drop it in on our commercial breaks on various episodes for the audio?
Can you write that down? No. This is Eileen Shapiro, and I am so fortunate to be listening and playing with these fabulous Happy Hour podcast boys, and tune into their show. It's definitely worth it.
All right, Elaine, thank you. We're going to go ahead. For everybody watching at home, thank you for tuning in right here on YouTube Live. Of course, shout out again to Teresa Sabin. Shout out again to Mike. We got to all get together, the Mike Wagner show. We got to all get together, do something fun. Teresa, if you ever want to come on, join us live on Zoom and talk to, any of our guests that we have on, just let us know. We're open with doing that.
Now you tell her when the show's over. Johnny, Nino's there too. Bye, yeah. Johnny and Nino.
Yeah, Johnny, thank you for.
And I think Raz might be there too. So bye, boys.
So everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Matt. This has been the Happy Hour podcast live exclusively on YouTube. Of course, this will be available from this point forward on YouTube whenever you watch it. And of course, make sure you get out, buy some of our merchandise over on www.thehhpod.com and follow us on Twitter, find us on Facebook, everything that's going on with the Happy Hour podcast. Mr. Skin, he's coming up in December. We have all kinds of cool stuff coming up. Eileen's going to be sending us all kinds of guests, in the future. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to have a great time, and once again, thanks for being on the show. And Eileen, we will catch up.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Any events you have, definitely send out to us if we get the time.
Oh, I will.
We'll definitely come out. We'll have some drinks. We'll drink.
Yeah.
And, have a great time. All right. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. No burying anybody.
We'll talk about it. Bye.
All right, bye. All right, so that was great. We're gonna hang out a couple more minutes here on YouTube Live or whatever. Ooh. And all that. That was awesome. She is such an awesome lady. Like, that's the thing. And we were talking about a little bit, before we went off air, is it's the relationships that you form with people. And she's so cool, so fucking cool. Like, it's amazing, all the people that you come across and all that. So yeah, for everybody watching at home, we're going to go ahead and officially wrap this up on YouTube. Make sure you check out all of our content, and we will see you guys next week. Peace, guys. All right, so that is done. All right, cool. So good shit, man. That was awesome. It was fun. So